Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Aimee here. So today we're gonna do somewhat of a wrap up. This will be all the books that I've read in the month of April, as well as like the tail end of March, because I think I only gave y'all half of March the last time I did a wrap up, which was a get ready with me. I'll post it down below if you want to check that out. But yes, this will be kind of a continuation from there. So yeah, 9 books is a lot to talk about, so let's jump right in. I'll start off with In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. This is loved by many, so don't come at me, but this, the hype wasn't there for me, I guess is what I'm saying. It was okay, but it wasn't like, oh my god, I love this book. So in here we follow Jessica, and Jessica is going to her college class reunion, and she takes us back to like her freshman year in college, where she meets all her friends, and we get a little bit from, I guess, each of them about their part in what happened throughout the college years, and how it led to their friend Heather's murder. So yes, their friend Heather was murdered in college, and her case was never solved. The killer was never caught. So at the time of her murder, Heather was dating Jack. Jack was in their friend group, and Jack, of course, was accused, but they could never prove that he really did it. And Jack has since come out as a gay man, and him and Jessica still remain friends to current days. We have Eric, who is Heather's brother, shows up at the class reunion to confront all the friends to find out what happened to his sister, Heather. So that's kind of what starts the story and how it dives into the events that took place, and of course, who did it and why. Now, I will say, even though this was a very slow burn thriller for me, and it didn't hold quite my attention the entire time, the ending was very good. I was shocked about the ending, and then we do get a little extra twist at the end that caught me off guard. So I do appreciate the story for that, but the entirety of the story just didn't do it for me. But the ending was spectacular, I will give it that. So I did end up giving this a 3.5 stars. I also listened to this on audiobook, and the audio is fantastic. Next, I picked up Barred Desires. This is by Ashley James. I also gave this a 3.5 stars. This is a male-male romance. This is Luca and Brandon's story. Luca and Brandon are stepbrothers. Now, as I did enjoy the two men separately as well as together, I do have some issues just with, I guess just with the whole backstories that we're dealing with. So Luca has a girlfriend like all through high school. He's a little younger than Brandon. Brandon is already in college at this point. Like I said, Luca considers himself straight. Moving forward, he goes to a party where he ends up walking in on Brandon with another guy, and like he automatically like can't take his eyes away, and he thinks it's like super hot. I get it. But I just thought it was a little bit too fast, being that Luca has never really thought himself as anything but straight, never really like looked at another guy. Of course, he always had his girlfriend Courtney on his side, and he always thought that they would just end up together. But really, there was really nothing there. And that was another issue with the story, was Courtney herself. It was like in the beginning, our author made her like a great girlfriend, and then all of a sudden she was like this evil person, which I didn't really care for her throughout the entirety of the book. I kind of felt like her presence was unnecessary, and there were some things that she did in the book and in their story that I didn't agree with, and I thought was annoying, and I just wanted her to go away. But it never really went to anything. She was just there doing these mean things to the guys, and no, but like like, it was never, I don't know, it was never like resolved. There was really a lot of things that were never really resolved in this story. So Brandon comes from, like, his mother married Luca's father. So you don't really know what happened to Brandon's father. You don't really get much of a backstory there. You get a little bit of it. And it's not as traumatic as, say, like Luca's past. Luca has a past as well, which I thought was something that really should have been faced in the story, but it wasn't. It was mentioned and weeded into the story here and there, and it was kind of based off of why Luca had so much anxiety, and I guess maybe certain things in a relationship would trigger him, which I understand, but the problem was never brought up and resolved. Like, it was mentioned a couple times throughout the story, but nothing was ever done about it. And we even get a little bit, I'm gonna go in too deep into the story and start giving something away, and I don't want to do that. But yeah, I did have a good bit of problems with this story. But I enjoyed Luca and Brandon, like I said in the beginning. I enjoyed them together as well as separately, just their characters in general. I also enjoyed just the whole frat thing. So we have Brandon lives in a frat house with a bunch of other guys, and Luca comes in as well. And so I think our next book has to do with another couple, and I'm actually kind of looking forward to this couple. I can't remember their names off the top of my head, but we meet them, of course, in the beginning of the book, and kind of like throughout the book they're thrown in there. But they're in this book, in Bear Desires, I keep saying Bear Desires. They're enemies in this book, and they like despise each other. Of course, that is like the best story of all, so I'm kind of looking forward to their story. So I do plan on reading the second book in this series, but other than that, yeah, 3.5 star. It was okay. Okay, next up, back to mystery thrillers. I picked up Girl 11. This is by Aimee Suter Clark. I was really hoping to just love this story because I love the cover, for one, and it's a podcast and a book, basically. But there was something about the podcast, just what that wasn't doing it for me. We do get the sound effects and the great music and everything, but I think there was something about our character, Elle. We follow her, what is her? Elle Castillo. She's our podcaster, and I did listen to this because I wanted to get the whole audio, the whole podcast feel, which I do recommend doing if you're gonna go that route with this book. If you can get the audio through your library or whatever, I do recommend that because you do get the whole vibe of the podcast. But I did not enjoy Elle's voice whatsoever. But anyway, back to our storyline. Elle has a podcast called Justice Delayed, where she digs into some true crime and I guess tries to get justice for the people or the victims of these crimes. This is season 5 we are going into, and this season she is covering the TCK killer, or what they called at the time the Countdown Killer. And he had a very distinct way of killing his victims, or choosing his victims as well. I did figure out pretty much the entirety of what was going on. Once I really got into the story, and Elle was kind of digging into TCK's killings and the way that he took girls, and I believe there was also one that got away. It just started, like, the pieces just came together in my mind, and I was like, oh, I think I know what happened. I think I know where this is going. So I don't want to talk too much about this book, because I really feel like you need to just go into this book blind. All you need to know is that we have Elle, who has a podcast, and she is trying to get justice for the victims of the TCK killer. the TCK killers. I think his victims started back in like the early 1990s. No, 1996. But yeah, I think that's all you really need to know for this book. And like I said, I highly recommend the audio just to get the whole podcast feel. I gave this as well a 3.5 star. It seems like I tend to be the opposite when it comes to liking a book. I know that everyone has said that this wasn't Sarah Penborough's best book, which it's not. But I enjoyed it. I had a good time. I gave it 4 stars. So we have Lisa. Lisa is a single mother. Her daughter is Ava, who is like this rebellious teenager. What teenager isn't? You do get the vibe that Lisa you do get the vibe that Lisa has had somewhat of a traumatic past. We don't know what that is. And I think that was the whole thing for me. Like I knew there was something there, but I did not know what it was. And not like I was trying to figure it out, but you know, sometimes you just know right off the back what it is or what's going on. You know something's there, but then you're not quite sure. Maybe not. Maybe she's just a struggling single mother. So we have Lisa's story, and then we also have Ava. We are getting the point of view from Ava as well. Like I said, Ava is this rebellious teenager. She's sort of secretly talking to this guy on Facebook, of all things, and then she also has a relationship with someone at school, and you know, there are first times involved, and she's just obsessed with this person on Facebook. So the story does kind of revolve around Ava's obsession of someone she's talking to on Facebook, which kind of leads us into Lisa's story, I guess you could say, and what her story's about, what happened to her in her past, and why she is where she is today. I really liked it. I had a good time just following everybody around, following Lisa around, Ava around, like really being annoyed with Ava and like screaming at her through the book, like, don't do that, girl. Like I had a good time with it. Like I said, it wasn't my best, definitely not my favorite Sarah Penborough, but I enjoyed it, and I really got involved in the plot. Who was who? Now there was a little bit of a twist in there that I cannot stand behind, and that was the only thing that I was like, I don't know about that, but okay. So yeah, so I wasn't really behind one of the little twists at the end of the book there, but all in all, I had a good time with it. I did then try to pick up Key to Fear. This is by Kristen Cass. This is the start of a series. I'm not sure. I don't remember what the series is called. I just have written down book 1. The Key to Fear, book 1. I was very bored with this. Very, very bored. I ended up DNFing it very early on in the book. I think like chapter 5. And I feel really bad about it. It's very reflective cover. But yeah, like I have not liked anything by Kristen and PC Cass since the vampire series that they wrote, and I can never think of it, the House of Night series. I haven't liked anything since then. I've tried to read several of their books and not really had a good time with any of them, and I thought I would really like this one, as this one's about like a pandemic where you cannot touch each other without infecting someone. So you have to live life untouched, basically. And I thought it was just gonna be more of that, but I can't even tell you what really it was at all. So we follow, I don't even know how to say her name, Elodie. She's a nurse in the facility of the pandemic. What is it called? See, I don't even remember any of this. I think it has a name, but anyway, she is a nurse at the facility of wherever they heal or care for the people that have this disease or come across this pandemic, I guess. And then we follow another character, a guy Aiden is his name, and I really have no idea what his purpose was at all. I like quickly lost interest in this book and decided that I was not gonna pick it back up, which is a shame, because I ordered it off of her website and I even had it signed. So there it is. But yeah, maybe one day, I did try to listen to the audio and I didn't like the audio at all. So maybe one day I'll try to pick it back up and maybe physically read it. Maybe that'll be better. I don't know. I wasn't into it. Like I was like, nope, we're gonna move on. And we did. We moved on to a 5-star, which is Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulak. I loved and still love this book. If you have not read it, you must pick it up and read it. It is the best time ever. I fell in love with Mallory as well as little Teddy right away. So we have Mallory Quinn. Mallory is a recovering drug addict as well as alcoholic. Her life took a sudden turn, like pretty much around her high school career. But right before she graduated, she was supposed to be, I'm turning red, I'm scratching everywhere, I don't know what's happening. Right before she was supposed to go to college, she had scholarships. She was a runner, I believe, but events happened and her life just took a major turn and she just fell. She just completely fell. And she is doing her best to get herself back on track. So through her sponsor, she finds this job to babysit or take care, live-in babysitter, basically take care of little Teddy. Little Teddy is the son of Ted and Carolyn Maxwell. I had to look at my notes. So it's the perfect job for Mallory. She has her own little cottage on the grounds where they live. She has access to the pool. She has a great place to do her running if she chooses to. And she, like I said, she loves little Teddy. Teddy likes to draw. And one day she realizes that his drawings start to get a little bit more, distinct and more outlined and like 3D-ish. And something's not right with these pictures. She confides in a neighbor. The neighbor's name is Missy? Is it Missy? Mitzi. She confides in Mitzi about little Teddy and about just how she hears little Teddy talking to someone in his room. And then of course Mitzi tells her the history of the house and the land and how someone died, in fact, in the little cottage that she is staying in on the grounds. She also begins to like hear things just around her cottage. So we have like this haunted vibe happening. Possibly something's happening to little Teddy. He's talking to someone. What's happening with his drawings. I mean, and then you get the drawings in the book as well, which I absolutely love. So I did listen to this on audio, but I do recommend having, so this is little Teddy's drawings in the beginning, and then they start to get a little bit more vivid, like that. So he's basically drawing, it looks like someone's murder. So like what happened to someone? Was it someone that died on the property, or is this someone trying to tell little Teddy her story through these drawings? So of course Mallory gets all involved into what's happening because she can start to piece the drawings together, and she can tell that these drawings are that something has happened as a woman. You can see a man dragging her through the forest, possibly burying her, digging a hole in the ground. Like, what happened? It's creepy. You don't know what's going on. you got some haunted things happening around you. I had the best time ever. And like I said, the audio is fantastic, but I do think you need to have the book on hand if you're going to listen to it, just so you can, because it does talk about the pictures and describe the pictures, but it's best to like really have the visual there so you can really get a feel of the story and what could possibly be happening. There was lots of twists and turns all at the end. Like it just kept going. It just kept going and going, and I was just blown away. Like had no clue that that's where this was going, and the entire time I didn't know like the entire meaning of this story. Like what the heck? It was fantastic. I don't know if I would say that this is a horror, as I think it's described as a horror suspense. It's definitely a suspense, paranormal, thriller, suspense. I wouldn't say it's necessarily horror. There weren't any like gruesome scenes or anything like that, but I guess it could be horror because, you know, like a crime took place, and I don't know. I loved it. 5 stars. Okay, y'all, this one, The Resting Place by Camilla Sten. This was a 1 star. I did finish the book. I did listen to it on audio. I thought the narration was done very well. What am I doing to myself? Like, I need to stop. But I could not get engaged in this story at all. So we have Eleanor. Eleanor has this sort of medical condition. I'm not even going to try to say it. No. But it's basically a condition of face blindness. So she can look at you and then turn her head and you're still there, but she doesn't know, she doesn't remember your face. Like she can sort of make out maybe if your hair is structured and is always structured the same way, she can maybe recognize you by that, or maybe recognize you by like the shape of your face, or maybe the shape of your hands, or like your body, but she cannot grasp the identity of your face. Other than that, she does not remember who she saw. So she basically walked in on her grandmother getting murdered, and whoever was the killer walked out right in front of her. And the story kind of takes off from there. But we learned that her and her grandmother didn't really have that great of a relationship. But once her grandmother dies, the family all go to the estate, and just weird things start to happen there. We're also following Anushka, I think that was her name. Back in 1965, she's telling us her story. Not, you know, the entire time, not sure what her deal was, and I think that's kind of what kept me going in the book. Like I really didn't care about Eleanor and what was happening at her grandmother's house. I really was involved in an Anushka story and what she was all about. And it seems like Anushka was like the housekeeper for Eleanor's grandmother and grandfather at the time, and it seemed that Eleanor's grandmother was a very vile type of woman to Anushka. I kind of had a feeling, once again, where the whole story was going. As we start to get to know Anushka a little bit more, I kind of figured out what was happening. There was one little twist that surprised me at the end, but other than that, I kind of just didn't care. I continued with it because I wanted to see if I was right, and which I was, and then that little twist surprised me at the end. But all in all, I was bored with it most of the time. But it was a short little story. The audio was very good. It was very well done. But the story just in general couldn't hold my interest. But next up, I picked up Hostile. This is a male-male romance that I absolutely loved. I gave it 5 stars. This is Rhett and Grayson's story. Rhett is a foster child that was actually adopted by his foster parents, who are actually amazing people. You don't usually get that in a book, but it was a breath of fresh air, really, that these people were such good people, and they took Rhett as well as his 2 friends that he had with him through the foster system, and they adopted all 3 of them. So as far as like a foster kid, Rhett has it good, but he's still got like this broodiness about him. And then we have Grayson, who is, you know, the high school quarterback, and all the girls want to date him, all the guys want to be him, kind of thing. But he has a little secret. He hasn't really dated. There's rumors going around in school that he's either like with a teacher or with like the school slut or something like that. It's really funny how if like a guy is not dating someone, like a very popular guy, these rumors start spreading like wildfire. But Grayson catches the eye, of course, of Rhett, or he can't keep his eye off the broody blonde guy, and he just kind of starts following him around, and just sort of aggravates him, like follows him or sees Rhett walking in rain, and he'll go up to him and be like, hey, let me give you a ride home, and Rhett's like, no. And it was just a really cute story about these 2 guys. Low angst, like no drama, and like I said, the foster parents were incredible. So it basically is each other's first times as well, so that you get to experience that with our 2 guys, and I love that. First times with each other, like never been with anybody else, just them experiencing their love together, their first times together, and I absolutely loved it. These 2 guys, loved it. I did listen to this on audio as well, and the narration was really good. And last but not least, had to go get this one off my shelf because I still haven't written a review about it. Rainbow Rowell's last book in the Simon Snow series, Anyway the Wind Blows. I actually really love this book. I think I gave it 5 stars. Did I? I did. And I did listen to this on audio as well. Absolutely love the narration. So I didn't really care for the second book, so I was really nervous about this one. That's why I hadn't started it yet. I don't want to talk too much about it just in case you haven't read it and maybe you want to read the series. I do think you need to read the second book in order to, you know, understand like where our characters are at in the third book. But yeah, the second one was not my favorite at all. So we have Simon and Baz, and their relationship has been rocky from the beginning, and I was really disappointed in the second book because their relationship is still kind of rocky. But I will say in this one we get better outcomes with their relationship. Simon is kind of coming into himself and I guess realizing that he is wanted. Baz wants him no matter what. And he does love Baz. So in this one we get more Simon and Baz, like just really their relationship evolves in this one, and they really get to know each other a little bit better and realize what each other want and why Simon has been sort of backing away from Baz a little bit. So that is our main focus in this book. But of course we have a lot of other things going on with a bunch of other of our friends, all our friends back here. So we do have a relationship happening between these 2 characters here. Agatha, the blonde, is actually used to date Simon. This is, I forget her name, but she's like a vet. Agatha wants to be a vet. They go take care of like the school goats. There's a story behind that. Then we have Penelope and Shepherd. There's a story with them. Shepherd has something that he did with a demon. He made a contract with a demon. So there's a story with him and Penelope. Their relationship evolves. We meet Shepherd in book 2. So yeah, so we get a little bit of each of our friends' little stories, and it's just adorable and so cute. And I loved how everything just wrapped up, and it was a happily ever after for everybody, and I just loved it. Okay, that's it, y'all. That's it. Those are all the books that I read at the tail end of March and all the books I read in April. Thank y'all so much for watching. As always, hope you're all doing well out there, staying safe, taking care of yourselves, having a great spring and summer so far. Hugs from me all around, y'all, and I'll see y'all very, very soon in another video. Bye, y'all.